Hi, I'm Aaron with the Nebraska Game and Parks, and this is Gotcha! How trapping is catching on. Now this activity has a school kit, so make sure your teacher's ready to go with it so we can get started. Okay, let's start with everybody's favorite thing, a pop quiz. So, don't raise your hand, just shout it out. This is a field trip. What makes an animal a mammal? Oh, that's right, I can't hear you through the screen. But if you said things like warm-blooded, gives milk to its young, and has fur, you're on the right track. So question number 2. What kind of mammals live in the wilds here in the state of Nebraska? Gonna have to speak. Oh, that's right, I can't hear you. If you said things like coyote, deer, raccoon, or elk, you're definitely on the right track. And you can also add things like beaver, muskrat, mink, possums, skunks, foxes. We've got a lot of different types of mammals within our state, which is often kind of cool. Now these next questions you don't have to answer. We're going to kind of talk through them as we go through this activity. So, where do these animals live? What do they eat? When do they hunt? These are all important things because I need you to start thinking like a biologist, because if we're going to try to catch these animals, we need to know all those things and a little bit more, because we might have to put our tools, like traps, out before those animals ever get there and know where they're headed before that animal does. But first, let's talk a little bit more about fur. Now in your activity kit, you have a piece of fur. And that animal's fur not only tells you it's a mammal, but it can tell you a lot about that critter, where it lives, what it probably eats. I want you to go ahead and kind of feel that piece of fur. Now you might have 1 or 2 pieces there. And if it has some really thick under fur, if you look real close and dig down, it looks really fuzzy. And that fur on top kind of feels kind of slick and smooth. You probably have a mammal that lives and hunts around the water. And you can kind of think of what some of the things it might find there for food. This is a beaver fur, and it definitely obviously lives around the water. Now on the other hand, if you have a fur that has got long hair, it's really soft, and well, it does have an undercoat, but maybe not as much as that beaver did, it's probably a mammal that lives and finds its food up on land a little bit more, like this raccoon or a coyote. So keep that in mind. What animal you're going after, you have to figure out some of those clues. Now fur is kind of an interesting thing because throughout history it helped shape our state and nation and has been used in fashion and as a mean of currency for quite some time in our history, which is kind of important and neat as we go through this trapping challenge that we're doing in this session. So it's really helped kind of shape what's going on. Now here in the state of Nebraska, we still have folks that trap for the challenge and the excitement, as well as perhaps for some other reasons. That includes helping manage our mammal population. Things like raccoons and skunks need some control at times so they don't overpopulate and help spread disease. Also, a predator population like raccoons can mean more stress on ground nesting birds, on other small mammals, and we want to keep everything in balance as best we can. Also, trappers have been used from time to time in dealing with species of some special concern, like our river otters that were gone from our state. Trappers helped catch them, bring them back to Nebraska, help keep an eye on and monitor the populations as those river otters thrived in our state and the populations began to grow. Trappers oftentimes help keep an eye on different populations like spotted skunks and gray foxes and give our biologists a good idea of where they can be found and when they can be found. So those are great reasons that trapping is a conservation tool for the state of Nebraska. Now, some of the tools of the trapper we'll get into here, but first I want to tell you about how these things work. Traps are made to catch and hold an animal. They're not made to injure or hurt that animal. So from your school kit, I want you to grab this odd, colorful tube looking thing that has a little bit of stretch to it. Now, if you've used one of these before, don't give away the fun to those that haven't. Okay? What I want you to do, once you have it, is stick either your finger or your thumb in that end of those tubes, on both sides of that tube. Now, it's got to be a pretty good fit in there. You don't want it too loose or it's not going to work. But once you have your finger or thumb in there, push it in as far as you can go. Most likely you won't be able to touch the other finger or thumb. Now, slowly pull apart. I'm stuck. This is a finger trap. What does it feel like? If you pull harder, it only gets tighter. Now you're stuck. But a question for you, is that hurt? No, not really. It's just kind of uncomfortable thinking that now I gotta go through life with my two fingers stuck together. But traps that we have nowadays work the same way to catch and hold those critters. Oh, if you squeeze it together, you can pull your fingers out, by the way. Now, the traps that we use to catch and hold mammals look a little different and are made of different things than our finger trap, but they have a lot of things in common. Like I've mentioned, they're made to catch and hold that animal and not hurt them. They're usually made of steel. They have these jaws, and that's what catches and holds those mammals. They also have springs. Now, the springs might look different. I'll show you that here in just a little bit. These are just almost like cushions. They're called long springs because they've got some length to them. And when that animal steps right there on the center of the pan, those springs will help close that trap on that animal's foot and then hold it there. Now, it's got to move quick because wild mammals move really, really fast. Sometimes, as I mentioned, those springs might look like coils, and they might be located in different spots on that trap, but they all do pretty much the same thing. Now, our goal when we go trapping is we've got to figure out where that mammal is going to walk and set its foot. And we've got to do that before the animal ever decides to do it. And you can see that little circle right there, just a couple inches across, is where that animal has to put its foot in order for us to catch it. Anywhere else in the landscape and they don't get caught. They've got to do it right there on that circle. So how do trappers get that done? Well, I'm going to show you. It goes back to knowing about those animals, where they hunt, and what they like to eat. So here we are beside a good old Nebraska cornfield. Get you some pictures here. I want to know, when you first see this, what jumps out at you? Is it the edge of the cornfield where a mammal might walk? Is it the mowed path that might be easier to run down? Is it the downed corn right on the edge? Well, what the heck? What is that white thing? Maybe that jumped out at you first. That is a bone from a cow. And that right there caught my eye. I don't know about you, but one of the things that you can do is use some visual cues to attract mammals. If you saw this first and it jumped out at you, it probably is going to jump out to that raccoon or that coyote as well. So let's start there. So what we're going to do is use this area and this cow bone to catch the eye of our mammal. Let's say we're going to try to catch a coyote. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I got all my tools laid out here, and I'll talk about those. I've got my handy pair of gloves as well to help kind of keep my scent away from this area, because some mammals, they don't see us as very, well, they see us as a threat at times. So I'll talk you through this. You watch what happens. Get my gloves on. Now, the first thing I need to do is make sure that I can get my trap down here, and I've got to hide it because a lot of mammals don't like seeing that there, or if they do, in the case of a raccoon, they might get curious, see what it is, flip it out of the way of where I want to catch them. And if they flip it out of the way, I'm not going to catch them. Okay? So I've got my long spring trap. I know that I'm going to try to set it up in here, and I got to bury it. So now I kind of have my area. I can use either a shovel, get that in the screen, or I've got this hammer that's got a little extra flange to it that I like using. We'll get my trap out of the way and we'll just start digging. Having this dirt here helps because that's going to help hide my trap and look pretty darn natural. I don't need to go very deep. Whew. All right, there we go. Now, one thing you got to do is make sure that you stake your traps down, because if you do catch a mammal in here, that he's going to pick up that trap and try to walk off. So you want to anchor them there. You do that with a stake or another means. I'm just going to stake it out of the way over here. You get the idea. That'll actually go all the way down. If I was going to leave this out here, which I'm not, that would go all the way down in the ground. Now, again, like we said, a mammal's not going to just step. We need him to step in that little bitty itty circle there. But he's not going to do that if he can see the trap. So what we're going to do is use this dirt that we dug out of the hole and use that to cover it up. I put it in the sifter pan. Now on the bottom of my pan, you'll see that I have, let's see where I can show it, have kind of a screen down in here. And when I shake it, dirt falls out. So we're gonna shake that over our trap. And as we go, it's gonna slowly disappear. Now we might take some big chunks and put them right underneath. But we gotta keep where that pan is, with that little circle that we hope that they step on, we gotta keep that clear so they can drop down to set things up. Work that back in and see our trap is starting to disappear. Now you can't even hardly see it, which is pretty darn impressive. We've got the bone, I better brush that off, helping attract the mammal, in this case hopefully a coyote, into that area where the trap is. How are we going to get that mammal just a little bit closer to where we can catch them? We've got the visual attractant where they can see that cow bone. Now we're going to use their nose to attract them. In your school kit you have 2 canisters, one yellow, one red. Don't open them yet until I tell you. Make sure the teacher though takes part in this one. You're going to want to do that, especially the red one. All right, so we can use their nose to attract them closer. Now, what kind of smells makes you want to get closer to the source of that smell? Maybe baking cookies, maybe the smell of your favorite food being barbecued out on the grill. There's all sorts of things, and food is definitely an attractant for mammals. If you take the yellow one, open the lid, and smell, oh, I gotta smell that again. Smell that, that's good stuff. It really is good stuff. What does it smell like? Well, it smells like some of the food that some of these animals like. And it actually smells like some of the candy that I know you students like as well. So you can use things that smell like their favorite foods to get them a little bit closer. Or you can go a completely different way as well. And that's what's inside this red canister right here. Same idea, it gets them closer. All right, so carefully open the red one, and then make sure your teacher's doing this one. Oh man, do it again. Oh, woo! Now, some mammals, like your dog perhaps at home, mark their territories. They've got to use all sorts of things to mark their territory and leave their scent behind. They can use glands, which produce some pretty smelly things when you get them all mixed together. They also sometimes use urine. But just like for your dog at home, coyotes, foxes, all sorts of animals that are mammals use their nose to identify territory and who's traveling where, who's hunting what spots as well. So you can use that to your advantage. So again, our trap is right there, and we've got just a little 2-inch spot that we need that coyote to step. Now, something I will point out is we've got the right size trap for our coyote. We're very particular about that because we don't want to catch anything else. What we're going to use to lure that coyote up close is what's in this jar, some food that they're going to smell like, oh yeah, just like you and I and cookies. It's going to bring them nice and close. Now, I've started digging a little hole over here underneath our cow bone, which is already, like I said, going to catch their eye. Now we're going to try to catch their nose. We'll dig that out, and that hole is just far enough away, make it a little smaller. I want them to have to work at getting that food out. It's far enough away from there to our little circle where they're going to get caught. Because a coyote is a good sized one. You don't want it too close or too far away. You got to know your animal. I'm going to use some bait. I'm going to stick it way down in there and get it down so they gotta dig for it a little bit. Maybe even put a little bit of grass or something in their way. That way they have to work at a little bit more. Then I'm gonna use this. This happens, well, I'll let you read that label. Coyotes don't like fox. We're gonna use that scent to make them just a little bit more likely to come over here and stay put. So now that coyote, as he's walking down along this cornfield hunting, which is what a lot of coyotes like to do, he's going to see this cow bone. It might get him a little bit closer. Then he's going to smell where that fox took a pee, and then he's going to smell some bait, and he's going to try to get that out. That's our hope. Very specific. We don't catch any other animal. Again, we want him to step in that little 2-inch circle. So he's got to get right down here. Can't be on the sides. He's got to be right there in the middle of it where he gets caught. And again, you got to make sure that you're using a trap of the right size that's meant to hold them but not hurt them. A quick wrap up and review about this session. First of all, Nebraska, home to lots of different types of mammals that have been tied to our state's history as well as our nation's. They've helped clothe us, helped keep us warm, even served as a form of money or currency early on at times. Also, today, trapping continues as a wildlife management tool to help with especially small mammal populations and their control from overpopulating. Trapping has also helped restore some of our once rare species to the state of Nebraska as well as across the nation. Also, trappers have to know all about their intended quarry so they only catch what they're after, including what size traps to use, where to place them, what scents or attractants, including visual, that they can use. Sometimes they're so specialized that the animal that they're intended for will be caught in it and nothing else that you don't want to catch. That's just part of the fun and challenge of being oh crap, I did it again. Hey, it's Aaron again. Hopefully you had fun today spending a little time outdoors with me. If you want to learn more about trapping or our small mammals here in the state of Nebraska, visit us online at outdoornebraska.org. Hey, Aaron again here with the Nebraska Game and Parks. We've got a little bonus footage for the gotcha session today. What we have is a house out in the country where some critters like raccoons and possums have been getting to where they're not supposed to be, eating some things that the landowners don't want them to eat. Now we're going to actually set up a live trap, which is a special type of trap for a situation like this where we've got some cats and other pets where we don't want to catch. We want to zero right in on our target species to control the issue that the landowner's having. Let me show you the trap and then we'll get it all set up, and then we'll check it the next couple mornings and see what we catch. There it is, a live trap. Some people call it a box trap, and you can kind of see why. It is just like a wire box. So when you set a box trap, you've got this gate here, a door that's open. The animal walks in to find some bait, and then they step on this platform right here where the stick is, and when that goes down, the door closes. You can see the trail these animals have been using to get up to the house and the barn and the shed. So we're going to put it right in here, see if we can't catch one. All right, so here you go. I got my live trap all set, except for the bait. You can see I put some leaves and twigs and stuff around, grass on top, so it blends in so they can't get to the back and get to my bait that I'm going to put inside the trap. I need them to go through the front door. The front door is open. There's nothing to catch on it. If they step in the right spot and shut the door, there won't be anything to catch and keep that door from shutting. So the idea is they smell the bait, see the bait, they walk right inside there, trip the pan, and get caught. Again, kind of blend it in so they can't get around to the edges, and also just to make sure that if they've seen it before, it's hidden just a little bit. Now we add some bait, and this time we're going with food. So you might be wondering what we're going to use for bait. I'm going to go with some food that raccoons and possums like, but dogs and cats not so much. The neat thing is, you and I like them too. Ooey gooey marshmallows full of good sugar. Oh, they're gonna have fun with that, but I gotta finish this one. Oh. All right, so we got it set. We've got some marshmallows right on the outside here to catch their attention, and then hopefully that leads them right into more and more inside the box trap, and then all the way back to where there's a whole bunch of them, a pile of them, and set off that pan to trip the trap. So let's see what happens. Let's see what we catch tomorrow. Okay, day one of our check on the live trap we set yesterday. Traps are something you have to check every day, at least for most of them anyhow, which is a good thing. Well, it looks like our marshmallows are gone. Looks like the door on the trap has been sprung or closed. Ooh, looks like on the inside we might have some success. Might have a young raccoon in there. I'll go ahead and pull the box trap out, get a closer look of what we caught. Well, as you can see, that's how a live trap works, where you've got a masked bandit, one of them that was probably giving the landowner some trouble, being where he wasn't supposed to be at that time. But you can see he's pulled in some debris down in here. He's safely inside, but what they do is they reach out, try to pull some stuff in in hopes that it opens the door, or that it breaks down a side. They're pretty strong critters. So good job. We had success on night one, which is pretty impressive. Now we'll have to see if we need to set it again and help the landowner out a little bit more. Thanks for helping out.